It was fine. I don't know what you did to it.
Yeah, it's all right. I don't care. The point is, I don't care. You know what I care about?
It-
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you, Amani, what I care about. I care about helping people. You know how you help people? I really care about being of service. Okay, let me tell you how you help people. How do you help people? Let me ask you a question. This is a trick question, by the way. I sound like Howard Stern in the 80s. I love it. Let me tell you, I'll
I
tell you
love Howard
stories about.
Stern.
I used to listen to him. That's how ancient I
It
am.
was like my virtual mentor.
I was in New York when Howard Stern really started in New York. Anyway,
Hey,
okay.
Danny, by the way, Howard Stern, I would say, when he put the camera up in that studio, I think
It
he
was a
was probably the
podcast.
first. There
Yeah,
you go.
podcaster.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah.
agree. Well, you know what, Amani? That's a genius observation, if I may say so. So I think you can add PhD to your title.
Who needs titles?
That's
Who
a
needs
good.
titles when we have a free platform to say what we want? We
I'm
have
gonna
our
make
own.
an. I'm gonna make a note about that. About Thomas Campbell. Thomas Campbell. You know Thomas Campbell?
Who's Thomas? I'm horrible in names, so I might come out like complete ignorant git on this podcast. But who is Howard Campbell? I almost forgot the
Well,
name. You told me a
you know what
second
they
ago.
say that ignorance is bliss.
At times,
No, I actually totally. Now we will talk about ignorance. Actually, let me write it down. We will talk about ignorance because I think the more ignorant you are, um, the more blissful you are. Did you ever read the material of Eric Fromm?
no.
Hello, neither did I. So, but I hear, no, it's not true. I did. No, I'm joking.
It's popping up now. The name for the people to go and find it. One of them is me. Okay, what's it about?
Well, first of all, let's finish the subject that we were talking about before because I like to stay on the subject. And that is that the subject a matter of helping people. Now, how do you help people? No, that's a question for you. Hello, hello. I like how Sadhguru does. My wife hates it, by the way, because I'm now imitating Sadhguru all the time. But
Isn't
I don't know if
it?
you.
Isn't it?
Does he say, "Isn't it"? Yeah,
Yes.
sometimes he does. But I like his. I like most his recall to attention to the present. Hello, 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 hello.
I'm with you. I'm with you. There's a delay somewhere, or you're okay.
There's a delay in my brain, if that counts. Does that count?
If it's helpful to you,
Uh, I would think that it has to be more helpful to other people, but also to me. Yes, yes. I have a lot of things to talk about today. Okay. So let's begin with helping people. Okay, let me try to compartmentalize. Compartmental.
compartmentalize. I was just gonna say because
Sorry,
compart. Yeah. Well,
it's
you
the
pick
V.
on my you pick on my pronunciation, so it's my turn today. Yeah, compartmentalize.
No, it's actually
Put them in compartments. Okay.
compartmentalize. Hello, it's compartmentalize.
Well, we'll leave that to the audience as
No, we
they'll.
won't. No, you're not going to leave anything to the audience. What? What's wrong with you? You're going to leave that to the audience.
There's a
Leave it
lot of
to.
things wrong with me.
Let's leave it to
I'm work in
Beaver.
progress. That's exactly
Le-
why we're doing this podcast because we're work in progress, and we
We're
want to
gonna
tell the audiences that we're continuously work in progress.
we're gonna leave it to Beaver. Do you know what
So
that means? Wait, wait. You know, that's a show. That's an American
yeah,
show.
I
Leave it
know,
to
I know.
Beaver.
Leave it to Beaver. I know it,
Okay.
But we don't want to sound too old, you know, like
You know, did we talk about the Dalai Lama last time?
we
I
talked a
don't know if
lot
we did.
about a lot of things, but no.
Okay, means that you don't
Talked
remember.
about
That's
Buddha.
okay. So you don't remember if we talked about. Oh, that's a nice cat. I like that. I like cats. I have
My
8.
cat wants to take part in the
The
podcast.
position is not great. The position of his ass in your face is really
Yeah,
not
well,
great.
that's his way of,
But you like, but
telling
you
me
do like it. But you like it.
I got used to it.
You got used to ass in the face.
He just jumped on
Okay.
the window. Dalai Lama, stay focused,
Oh, I'm very
please.
focused. I'm very focused. It's about staying young, childlike, childlike. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to make another note. I have a lot of interesting topics today. So, the Dalai Lama, staying focused. Yes. And staying childlike. My God, I don't even know where to begin. Listen, let's begin with Eric Fromm. Yes? He wrote this book, a short book. I have it here somewhere. And the book is about, and then I want to talk about Hollywood today.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes, Hollywood. Oh my God,
That's
Hollowwood. I call it Hollowwood.
Hollywood. Well, I've
Yeah,
got to talk about Hollywood from when I only visited it. Now you're gonna talk about somebody who was inside of it. So,
someone
yep.
who, no, more than inside. I was born into it. That makes a huge difference. That makes a huge difference. Okay, so Hollowwood. I like it because I lived at some point. I mean, I lived in many different areas, but I lived practically under the Hollywood sign, so I could
Mm-hmm.
see it from the front of my house. Um, Eric Fromm wrote a book, which I want to mention because the book is titled To Have or To Be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we could do a whole episode just on to have or to be. But the essence of the book is about having, and this includes knowledge, by the way. This includes knowledge, which is like luggage.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on vacations. I remember actually, okay, I'm going to digress a little bit. I remember being on trips with my parents where we had about 20, and I'm not joking, 22 pieces of luggage. In fact, when we used to go skiing, we would send a car up just with the luggage. But that's not unusual nowadays because private planes and everything. And so I'm not saying anything that's out of the ordinary. We used to send a car up with luggage, and then we used to have a few items, 4 or 5 pieces in our station. My father had a Mercedes station wagon, and we would then go up, to the skiing resort. But the point is that knowledge can be like luggage. Why? Because it weighs you down. The truth is simple, and we will get back to the truth is simple. But you know that one of the greatest teachers of our times, yours and mine, and we were fortunate enough to live in these times, was Mother Teresa.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was an embodiment of love. Yeah? And if you, apparently, Mother Teresa's statement was that she never read it, she hadn't read any books. Now, Sadhguru says the same things. But when I listen to Sadhguru, I know he must have read some stuff because he knows about it. You can't know about something except the inner truth. Like you can't know about the Bhagavad Gita or specific passages in the Bhagavad Gita if you have not read about it. Yeah?
Yes. Well, a lot of these masters, and it's
I haven't
interesting
finished.
what.
You can go on, but no, I don't mean
No,
to.
it's
Go on.
a how do you say? It's a sort of a intrusion.
Intrusion. Yeah.
Um, it's not an intrusion. It's an interval, whatever.
Intervention. You're helping me.
Intervention. No, I'm not helping you. No,
Yeah, you are.
God forbid.
No, yeah.
A lot of these masters, and it's like I put
You
the
must
question
have,
out there.
you must have been talking to my wife.
No, it's been a while. Poor her.
There you go. That's what she says. Go ahead.
Is that they didn't get the education. They were not in an educational system, most of them.
Well,
Yet they channeled so much of the knowledge. And question mark about knowledge, because again, that's a label of this life and world. Is that wisdom? Maybe I prefer to say the word, but yeah, go on. Just
the
putting
two
that question out there. That interesting that they didn't receive an educational system. Many of them.
Well, what you're talking about is formal education. There's a difference between formal education.
Prophet Muhammad did not know how to read or write. He was illiterate.
Yes, I like that you know about these things. That is very useful, by the way. But Sadhguru does know how to read and write, and the Mother Teresa. The interesting thing about her is that the only book she ever read, as per what has been said about her, so I have not talked to her about it directly, is that she only read the Bible. There are many men and women that are very knowledgeable in terms of intellectual knowledge, and what you call formal education. I believe that my former mother-in-law was a Rhodes Scholar, by the way. You know what I like about my life? I'll tell you what I like. I like that I have lived, I'm very young, and I have lived a full life, replete with success, pain, tragedy. I have run the gamut of emotions, of human emotions.
I say I could die a happy lady, cancel delete, but because I'd like to live a bit longer for others, it's time to be in service, as you said. But by God, yeah, I also lived it well.
No, I didn't say I lived it well.
No, I lived it to the full in my terms. Not in your terms is different.
Well,
I could die a happy lady.
If you want to, if you wish to, you can go ahead and do that. I don't wish to, by the way. In fact, I'm only at half of my lifespan, hopefully.
Yeah.
In fact, my physical life, is only beginning. That's the difference. You're old, I'm young. See, that's the difference between you and me.
It's a matter of choices and perceptions, of course.
Yeah, I'm very young. I'm a baby.
What are you talking about? This is when I'm starting now. This is me at 50 and a half starting.
So you're changing your tune. So you heard me say
starting.
So I see. So you're now joining me.
So why were you saying that this is why you like your life? Go on.
No, I didn't say I like my life, but I love my life
You
because,
love, yes.
yeah, maybe I did say it. Don't mind me. Doesn't matter.
With
I can
all
change.
its, you know,
Well, I mean, obviously some things aren't pleasant when you're in the midst of it, but I can understand now why I had to go through uh, so many um, adventures or experiences, as you want to call them. And it's interesting because I was just talking to my brother-in-law today, and he's a devout Muslim and very religious, only believes in Allah as the creator, and we are the servants. So obviously, my idea of consciousness and all is one and one is the all um, is different. But it's interesting how in human beings, uh, it doesn't make a difference when there's a connection. See, that's why, for me, as I understand things, it's that connection that counts. In fact, I like to joke with him. I said, well, aside from me believing not only in reality as a simultaneous event, only the here and now, and infinity, and us as an aspect of God, and you not believing in reincarnation, only believing in Allah, and only believing that in this lifetime, God bless you, you came as a prince. Aside from that, we get along. We agree on everything else. Aside from that, I always tease him.
well, that's the cool thing. Yeah, that's the cool thing.
So, yeah, I mean, I was talking about. I really admire uh, people that are simple. We really put too much emphasis on thinking. And I think
Mm.
I mentioned it last time, but Shakespeare's nothing is good or bad, but thinking makes it so. And that is so true.
I
That is
like
so
that.
true.
I like that. Yeah.
The truth is simple. Okay, let's just, for one, I had a kind of a revelation today. But let's say, okay, God is one, right? Let's start with the oneness, beingness. Not even, there's no thinking and there's no energy, only beingness, which is beyond space and time, and maybe possibly even beyond what we think of as eternity. I still have to analyze that. But it could be because eternity still has a sense of, well, eternity kind of has a sense of a beginning. No end, but a beginning. If you actually think about it, because in our finite minds, just saying the word eternity, oh, okay, great. It started somewhere and it ends and it goes on forever. Right? Yes?
But to me, also, forever, the way that we use it, even eternity, we always think in human minds that there is a target, there
That's what I'm
is
saying.
a destination.
That's what I said. Finite. A finiteness to it.
I don't know where the destination is. I mean, it's all in my mind how the space is, but the space could be, as you said.
So, given that beingness could be outside of our scope of understanding, um, the truth is simple. So let's say one. Let's just say one, okay? By the way, then we're going to go back. Actually, we're going to go.
To the
There's,
Hollywood, yeah.
there's no
We
back in
need to go back.
Hollywood later, but I want to talk
Mm,
about Thomas Campbell
mm.
because he's very interesting. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
I said
He-
earlier that I'm not, yes.
oh, sorry, I
I might
apologize.
be, but I'm horrible in names. I could or I could not be. Yeah.
Well, he's a physicist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. But Campbell, Thomas Campbell.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Now that you said physicist. Okay. Go
Okay.
on.
Well, this all ties into it, but the truth is simple. So basically, today, I have my meditative walks every day, which is, it's been my heaven, my bliss. And part of what came to me was that the ego, which is the identification with the personality, this guy that's talking to you now, and this girl. How do you girl? I like the girl. I don't like lady. I don't like that. I think it's actually taken on a phony connotation, the lady. But anyway, this girl, woman, female being that is kind of possibly interacting with me now.
Mm.
Uh, our ego complicates things because the ego, and it goes back to A Course in Miracles, but the ego wants to survive, yes? Wants to have an identity. If that identity is lost, the ego is thinking, and it's bizarre that we think that we have like kind of an alien being in our own psyche, in our own beingness, and
Mm.
it could not be so. But let's say our ego, by the way, it's so preposterous because the body dies. The body dies. Everybody dies. I like that. Everybody dies. But actually, that means
Yeah.
every body,
Body.
two separate words, dies. But you don't die. That's interesting, actually. It just came to me. Everybody. We use the word everybody, but that's where we're mistaken. Everybody, not you, the eternal being. So if you start from that simple truth, yes, and actually you don't move too far away from it, because what happens is like the prism, right, that splinters is in trillions and trillions and trillions of of pieces, but all I like to use the analogy of the pie. Have we used this before? I love
No.
it because I love chocolate cake. So think chocolate cake, yeah? I love to think about chocolate cake. And you are just a little piece of that chocolate cake. Yes?
Thank you.
Well, so am I. We're all just a little piece of that chocolate cake. But the little piece that you are has all the same ingredients of the cake, of the whole cake. So, in essence, there is no difference between you and the bigger portion of the cake. Hello?
Yes, I'm with you. I'm listening.
And so, the way I came to understand it now is that we are aspects of the cake. So we are little pieces of the cake, but have access. The cake is not separate. The piece of cake is not separate from the whole. You have access through this invisible energy to the whole and to the qualities of the whole, although you contain also the qualities of the whole cake. Is
I get
that
it.
is that nice? Is that work for you?
Yeah, I've done an analogy like that in our first episode about the ice cubes. Yeah. So chocolate
Yes.
cake for you, ice cube for me.
Well, I don't. The ice cube is cold. I like the tasty cake. I like I like the warmth. So Thomas Campbell, he uses the term IUC, which represent individuated units or individual, but I think he actually uses individuated units of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Which
But it's the
means?
same. Well, it's the same idea as the cake, if you think
Mm.
about it. But
What?
he has it more from a numbers. Of course, his approach is from physics, so it's a numerical approach, and he has it that it is all a kind of like a simulation, a computer simulation, if you will.
Mm.
You know, that everything, um, or he calls it a rendering. So everything is available, you know, and then he'll refer to some stuff. He'll refer to some weird words like love and Akashic records. But yeah, everything is we can access everything. We can access, it really depends on the kind of, you know what awareness is? Awareness to me is only levels of blockage that we allow or disallow. It's,
Meaning
well,
I mean,
you
awareness
have
to me.
access to God. You could just, you know, maybe for some enlightenment, if you take Jesus and the way he manipulated instantaneously reality, he didn't have any special qualities, and he was the first one to say that. He just identified, or he removed the blockages. Let's put it that way. The apparent separation from him and source. Let's put it that way. Yes?
Yes, awareness to me is being aware of the unaware. So you're conscious of the subconscious, and you're aware of the existence and the non-existence. You're
What do
aware
you
of
mean you're
this and
aware
then
of
whatever
the?
is outside.
But I want to understand what you mean by you're conscious of this. How can you be conscious of the subconscious?
That you know that it's working, it's there. And you're also, you see, your subconscious is only built upon what consciously you do. So you program the subconscious based on your consciousness now.
Well, some would argue with that. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Some would actually argue that your consciousness is affected by your subconscious. And that's why
And
it's
that too,
subconscious.
but where did it start? We came like this laptop that's in the box, brand new. You've unboxed that laptop. There was absolutely no programs on it, no applications, nothing when you were born. And then, yeah, some would argue about that because we're coming here to remember
That's right.
whatever we've come for.
And
But
what is
let's say,
remembering? And what
but
is
for me,
remembering? And what is remembering?
go on.
No, what is remembering? I'm asking you. It's like school. I'm the principal.
Not necessarily. Not in my school. Stay in your school.
I was beaten in my school, so what? I'm the principal. What? And if you
You
don't
were
answer, I was beaten
you were
in
what
school.
at school?
We were beaten in school. Yeah, I was beaten.
Beaten up, you mean?
Yeah. Yes. Hello. Yes. Slapped. Hit. Punished. Hello. What part of beating don't you understand?
By whom?
By the
Now I'm
principal
curious. Oh my
and
God,
the
what school
teacher.
did you go to?
I went to Catholic school. What's wrong with you? Of course, I went to priests. Yeah,
Oh, I'm
they were
blessed then.
violent.
I
They
feel
were
that, yeah.
violent.
My mom went to a nun's school as well. Yeah.
I did. I also went to that, by the way. So this is what I'm telling you. I lived a full life. I even went to nun school. Yeah.
So going back to my understanding, and I'm still like understanding that. I didn't even know
Okay.
what that word means,
Well, I do.
awareness.
No. Okay. But what is
Back
subconscious? Hello. What is subconscious to you?
subconscious mind is the mind that's being you see, subconscious mind is not working against you. What your subconscious mind is doing. So I go back to this like program, right? You were this unboxed laptop that had no applications. Do not interrupt me, please, because I haven't. It came like a clear slate, and then things started to add from parents, environment. So you're like a sponge. You started picking up on things. You don't know what you're coming to do here as a newborn. And you started like accumulating all this knowledge, all these habits, things that you witness, things that you hear, even from when you were in your mother's womb, it actually starts. So the subconscious mind is actually working with you, so it exists for a reason, whereby you don't have to keep remembering everything that you've programmed or taken up on. So you're not gonna every single time remember how you started, like crawling, walking, talking, and then eventually, articulating language and then driving. So it programs these things so you could keep growing and moving. This is my understanding. But then what we try to stuff it with, everything, is subconscious mind is actually helping you to start bringing in new information, because that's how we're built. We're creatures of creation and growth. We keep moving, we keep growing. So I wasn't even aware of the subconscious mind 9 years ago. Like, what the hell is that? What's conscious? What's subconscious mind? What is awareness? To be aware of what? Let's start there. And that was where the journey started and continues. Did you know that your subconscious mind, and this is a scientific proven studies, many studies they've done, that it actually decides for you 6 seconds before you even decide what you want to do consciously or even say it or do it? Because it has an understanding now of your habitual behavior.
Yeah.
I'm
Fascinating.
finished.
Fascinating stuff. No. You know I'm always joking.
Over to you, please.
Fascinating. It's absolutely. I am blown away by your subconscious mind.
Oh, you evil you.
Well, I have a different understanding. And in fact, I think we mentioned this, that I did so much because I grew up Catholic, because I grew up, and we did talk about how we were both rebels, always wanting to know why. Why? Why do I have to do it that way? Here's a hammer, here's a nail. You have to hit the nail on the head with a hammer. Why? Can I put my hand before the nail and then hit my... Yeah, whatever.
Even more. Why are you even asking me to do it? Like, who are you to ask?
No, but that's good. That's great, actually. That's a great quality. And it's correct. Because we are unique creatures. And this is the whole problem. Then we'll get into this at a later date.
You don't have my fingerprint, do you? We don't share. I would like to understand. I mean, yeah, there's the basic but I'd like to understand. And yet we are to find out what's the notion behind having unique fingerprints. Each and every being has a unique...
But it's very simple. That actually doesn't even... We don't have to actually do much.
It's a reminder?
No, well, listen, forget the fingerprints, because there's only what are we now, 7 billion people. Talk about the ones that have left, the ones that are going to come, a few billion. But think about just snowflakes. And you're familiar with Masaru Emoto's work.
That was a game changer for me.
Yeah, but think of every, the number is unfathomable to us of snowflakes. And there are no two snowflakes that are alike. But this goes back to simplicity, to be quite honest. I mean, this is where the ego likes to, get us into...
May I share my what I understood from Masaru Emoto's research, water consciousness? that was a life-changing video. I came across his video and then I started reading about him. So, those who don't know him, he dedicated 30 years of his life studying water and how it forms
The
all the
memory.
way.
It's called the memory of water.
Yeah. So I was a very, very angry person,
You
and
still are.
I, there is residue of it. Yes, I do not deny. So my friends now will validate that. They've seen that face a couple of times. But now, instead of me being angry at the cashier and at the person passing by and road raging and my life and my work, now I probably do it once amongst the 10 times a day, and
Yeah.
not at that level. So I would snap. I was very angry, and I understand where that came from, through life. Anger comes from grief and sadness. That's the interesting part.
Well,
And we'll talk about that later.
I think it comes from powerlessness, but okay.
No,
Go ahead.
that the act comes from powerlessness, but the source, the core of why I even developed anger,
In
it's
fact,
because suppressed grief.
the only person I get angry with is my wife because I can't control her. But aside from that, I never get angry.
Well, for the time being, I do that with my friends because they've stuck around for 20 plus years, so I can do it to them. Strangers, on the other hand, so the one thing that made me stop, like really stop and think, was the Masaru Umuto, I don't even know how to say his name, video, which showed each emotion that you've omitted to that water, that
Oh yeah. But that's like it comes from
research he did.
they had a plant test also like that. The test of the three plants.
Yes.
The
So
experiment.
65% of our body is made out of water, and every time
Yours is only 65%. Mine's 85.
Oh wow,
Something wrong
nice.
with you.
Good for you. I should drink more water. That's what I'm
Yeah, I
doing
think
exactly.
so.
I think there's punctures somewhere.
Yeah, mine.
They're leaking. Water is leaking
Yeah.
somewhere. So it was like a shocker for me that every time I have this negative emotion, anger or whatever it is, that I'm affecting the cells, each and every cell in my body, and introducing diseases, whatever these diseases and what level they are. And this is where I
Yeah.
turned around and said, hey, that
Wow.
video, when I came across it, by my lovely teachers, Maya Badran and Tony Shushani, who introduced it in our Theta Healing classes, I was like, what? I had no idea, and that was a game changer. And I give it to anybody who I see would like to change their, negativity or functioning upon negativity.
Yeah, this is an interesting topic because you're actually tying into something that I want to talk about later on, which is about information and how receptive we are to information. Because I had channelings 20 years ago. Actually, to be honest, it was 22 years ago. 22 years ago. Now, it could happen that something like that happens to you. The next day, you're a totally different person. Totally. But it didn't happen that way. It's like information. And actually, I was having a thought today about like food. Yes? Like you eat food. Yes? And it takes time. And probably the human experience is designed so that you eat food and you don't expel it like it, while you're still sitting at the table. Yeah? You eat
Thank
food.
God, yeah.
Well, yes, it would make for some uncomfortable circumstances.
And that's
You
how
eat,
we process information.
yes, it's like doo-doo. Information, it's like doo-doo. But
So that's how they're processing us now,
yeah,
our tribe.
yeah. What what happens is you receive information, you digest it, and then you let it pass through you. Yeah. Some information can give you indigestion. Yes. Some information is really great. So this is a whole podcast, by the way, just on this, because then each thing,
I raise my hand here.
each expression is to be analyzed, and then we'll get into that, and I'll get into that because
How I used to read certain things, including the Quran back
yeah,
then,
and we
as
talked
opposed
about
to how I read it today, is a completely different
and we talk
perspective.
about and we talked about the power of now, how
Also, yeah.
how in your case you didn't pay any attention to it and then you read it. In my case, how I paid great attention to it in the beginning, and then uh, life,
Didn't apply it right
yeah, I
away.
didn't
Yeah.
really apply. You can't, but you can. It's like food. But this is what I'm saying. This is levels of awareness, levels of revelation. It's like, again, honestly, I love chocolate mousse. But this applies. Listen, everything. There are no coincidences. So everything in life is a replica of your inner thinking, if you know how to interpret it. So the thing about loving food, yes, you love food and you enjoy food, and it's twofold. Okay, now follow me on this. It's twofold. For instance, I mentioned I love chocolate mousse. I'm not going to eat chocolate mousse every day. I'm not going to eat chocolate mousse every day, no matter how much I friggin' love it. Because I'm going to get tired of it. I'm going to get sick of it after the fifth day. Especially, well, forget about it if I eat it morning, lunch, and dinner. Yes? And this goes back to thought, and egoic thought creates complications and so forth. That's why I love Eckhart Tolle when he's like, oh, I just, yeah, I don't think. He's walking in the woods. Have you ever seen his
Yeah.
how he imitates himself walking in the woods? Oh, I love it. But in truth, that is the best way to live. That would be the best way to live. So going back to the food, yes, we eat food, we digest it, or we incorporate it. Same goes with thoughts, by the way. And then in our human, form, we let it out. Now, in thought process, yeah, I know now you're having the image. I know it's hard. Now you're imagining it, and you can't keep a straight face. It happens.
And here is, ladies and gentlemen, or whatever gender you are, this is how
The
we're giving you the information.
the poop
The
conversation.
poop conversation. Hey, that's a great name.
I know, I like it. The poop conversation. And but our thoughts are the same way. We take them in. By the way, I've had such an expansion of understanding only in the past 2 years that it's been amazing. And that's why that's why we decided to do the podcast. I mean, to share the information, because I got so much help from the external. There's no external, but I got so much confirmation that we can do the same. However, to finish the food analogy, yes, the same thing happens with our thoughts. We take in some thoughts. We have to take some time. And thoughts occupy also space, by the way. We were not aware of it, but they occupy space in our mind.
It's like open tabs. That's what they are. That's what I tell my friends. You've got too many tabs open.
Well, I think you mentioned the number that they analyzed that we have 60,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah. That's excluding how many neurons we actually trigger when we do that.
But that brings back the fact that I want to go back to the idea of maybe this can help you, or maybe not. Because I studied also Scientology for a bit. I don't know if we discussed this.
You mentioned it in our conversations, not in the
Well, when I
podcast.
studied all the religions, I went from, and I don't remember the
I
part.
was invited to a Scientology. I had no idea it was Scientology. I was going for an interview. A musician who invited us to this huge mansion and compound in the UK. And years later did I realize that was Scientology when, I understood and came across what Scientology is. Yeah, but go on. Why'd you mention that? So in that conversation, mentioning Scientology.
Well, because for me, I mean, I studied all the religions. I studied, I think I told you Buddhism, of course, Catholicism, grew up in it, Buddhism, married to a girl that is half Muslim, half Orthodox Christian. I mean, so there's been so many journeys for me, but Scientology, it just so happens because I was in Hollywood, I was into mind, so I went to therapy, I went to psychotherapy, I went to a psychiatrist. This has all happened in the 90s. Scientology happened a bit later, but it was just a curiosity thing. And it was, for me, nothing aside oneness has true meaning. Nothing
But
is truth.
that's a great insight right there. But how did you reach that? So you went through all of that, and then
Yeah,
you've reached here.
probably through growing up, through all of that.
Mm.
But me, I think, what about Scientology has parallels with
Mm.
talking about the subconscious. They have an idea. They have an idea of also. This is why I want to tie back to what you were saying before, because I have a slightly different idea now. They have an idea of the subconscious mind, and I'll tell you a funny story. Goes back to us being rebels. I could never buy fully into the idea of Scientology. First of all, because I cannot ever fully understand, because I have a totally opposite theory. See, no, it doesn't matter if it's a monotheistic religion or if it's a school of thought. No matter what it is, for me, the only back way to oneness is through the individual. In other words, it's okay. Let me take 8 billion people, or let me take 20 billion people. If we want to go back to Atlantis, the Mayans, I don't care who we go back to. All the beings have to recognize within themselves. So nothing on the outside will ever bring you to oneness.
But the whole saga, the dilemma here in this life is that, many of us have or continue to look outside ourselves from following somebody on Instagram
Yeah, but we
all the
don't care.
way to.
Do you follow someone on
No, no,
Instagram?
no, no. I'm saying. So why are we so tied
No,
down? I'm
but
sure there's
I
something
don't care
historical
about
about it.
I don't care. Do you? Are you doing that? Because if you have to be an example, just give about you. Forget the others. Who cares about the others? What are you doing? I'm telling you what I'm doing. I don't care about anybody else.
I always had the truth about this oneness, unshakable.
Do you follow people on
But
Instagram? I don't follow anybody on Instagram. I don't even follow myself on Instagram,
no, but
which is pretty
the
bad.
way and the reason I follow people on Instagram, people follow me. That's a whole different. What I'm saying is that the extreme of finding things outside ourselves
So you
in
follow people
order
on
to
Instagram.
validate.
Why do you follow people on Instagram? Why?
It's a gimmick. It's like I had a
So
magazine. Remember when we had the Vogue?
I
I used
don't.
to buy Vogue. It's the same. To me,
Uh,
Instagram and social media platforms like buying that magazine, from Mad, I used to buy the Mad magazine.
you're saying that
National
we.
Enquirer, oh, that was trashy. That was so trashy
No,
and
I
nice.
never read
It
that.
was
I
really
never
like,
read that.
no, no,
No, I never read
I
that.
got everything.
No.
Smash hits. So it's the same now. Back in my days, that was our Instagram.
Forgive me.
So,
I'm yawning now.
oh,
But
oh, okay.
National, National Enquirer
Going
made.
back,
Yeah.
which I'm actually verifying what you're saying is that we go around in that circle. I'm talking about me, that I did go around in that circle. I even questioned a lot of things. I questioned my own religion. I questioned a lot of the things that I was told, and then I went back. But after I went through a whole entire journey of exploring, and then I
Well,
settled.
I want to get back to your subconscious mind. Not yours, because I don't know your subconscious mind. I mean, that's yours. But the analogy, the parallel that is there between what I studied in psychology and psychotherapy and what was in Scientology, but it's in other forms and formats and ideas and templates, is that you have a conscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is what operates automatically. Okay. Now, I have a slightly now different understanding because that was also um, a great question mark for me too, like you. So the understanding that you have is a bit different from what I understand now. The subconscious mind is, like, for instance, for Scientology, let's say you had an accident, yes? Let's say you're in an accident. The conscious mind cannot deal with the enormity of that event. Let's say it's a pretty, significant accident. The conscious mind cannot deal with the enormity of what is happening at that moment, or the speed, or all the cannot.
Trauma, yeah.
No, it's not. It's beyond trauma. Can,
The impact, yeah.
no, it cannot calculate all the possibilities that are inherent to that situation.
Subconscious mind does the breaks, yeah.
No, no,
Subconscious mind is the one that acts first. It
no,
does.
no. The subconscious. Well, okay. This is what. This is not my idea. This is what Scientology will tell you. So subconscious
Science or
mind.
Scientology?
No, Scientology. I don't care about science.
Okay, I understand. Now I
Uh,
understand.
Scientology will tell you, but
You
not
do
just
care about
science.
science. You love physics and quantum physics. How can you not care about science? But go on.
That's not
Just,
science.
pointing
That's
out the
that's not
double
science.
standards here.
That's not science. That's pseudoscience. What's wrong with you?
Theories, okay. Well, most of the science is on theories. Go on.
So the subconscious mind will record everything that's going on. Okay, so just let me tell you like the background, and then it will record it. Okay, now what happens is, and try to follow me on this. What happens is that you then will go on living your life. You got out of the accident, everything's fine. 3-4 years down the road, you hear screeching in the middle of the street. You hear someone screaming, and the conscious mind, thinks, or the subconscious mind will react as if you're in the accident.
Reliving it, yeah.
Reliving it. So your emotions are, so that's the subconscious mind. Now that's how I came to understand. But then beyond that, the way I am understanding it now, and tomorrow may be different, is we have a higher self, an inner being. So if this is one thing, I don't know if it's going to help you, because this is one thing that really bugged me for years. What the fuck? What do we have? A higher self, a lower self, an inner being, a soul. So the way now I can understand it and I can pretty much deal with it is conscious mind, subconscious mind, and then we'll get to that, higher self, and your oversoul, or your entity, or not the person, the being that you truly are, eternal, unflinching, uh, you cannot be harmed, and the divine spark. Maybe there's a fifth. That would be God. Let's put it, or source. Yeah, I could put source is so like 5 levels that I now can understand. Okay, so 5 levels. Source, the divine spark. So the aspect of source that you are. Then there's no real separation, by the way. But this is just for us, our understanding. But there's no real separation. Then there would be your higher self. By the way, each reincarnational self has an inner being or a higher self, which is part of your oversoul. Does this make any sense, what I'm saying?
No. But I'm like you. I started like getting all these different
But
terms,
this is
and I'm still
interesting.
reading into it. I'm still like
But
in
you know what?
Sufism.
But you know why it makes no sense to you? It's
It's
correct.
still yet to make sense. I'm not
Brava.
rejecting
No.
it. I'm not
No,
rejecting it. Yeah.
but that's exactly my point. It's like we were saying about books, you know? Yeah, I mean, I reread now something that I go back to books. Some books that I know that are significant. I'm like, let me see if there's something in there that I kind of missed. Yeah. So go ahead about Sufism. I love, by the way, you know, Rumi. Wait, I don't know if I can leave the screen 1 second. I do want to. Yeah,
My
sorry.
cat wants attention. Yes. My beloved Rumi.
I don't like poetry, by the way. I don't like poetry. I don't understand
Well,
poetry.
I could say he's a philosopher.
But this
Yeah,
guy,
poetry.
this guy, great.
My beloved Rumi. That's what I call him.
Yeah, he is definitely. In fact, you know,
And I'd like to talk about Rumi, who had absolutely no idea who he was. Also, in that,
yeah,
when I started my journey,
yeah,
and I would love to talk about that in such a functional, practical way, rather than a very poetic and, philosophical manner. Although I was in that state at that time when I was introduced to Rumi by chance, by the way, a complete like chance. No one even told me anything about him. Just Google it came up. I was like, who's Rumi? I'd love to talk about in one of the episodes is that how I also process the information, like when you say processing the information, how I, the intake of Rumi's philosophy, poetry, meeting Shams Tabrizi, the source of, the the soul ascension and what have you. We'll get to that. I was in that state where, like when you listen to a song and you come across a beautiful, field of flowers. I was in that state. I
I
wanted a
thought you
little
were going to
escape.
say a beautiful guy. I don't know. I thought you were going to say a beautiful guy.
I do call the guys who came in my life beautiful, by the way. I do call men beautiful. I think we're all beautiful beings at certain times. Coming back, so processing information is very interesting why you said that. I love that subject. Is that the way I also processed Rumi's philosophy, poetry, Sufism, as opposed to how I do it now and how I could apply it in such a practical manner, is so different. So, what I fell in love about Sufism, and I'm yet an apprentice. I'm not claiming anything. Very premature. Still trying to find out about this world. Is I wanted to because I do believe that the soul lives on. Just like, we're talking about how energy was combusted so many times, yet it cannot dissipate. Energy cannot dissipate. So we are living on somewhere, somehow, at some space when we leave this body and come back and so on, and then go into another. Let's not get into that. So the beautiful explanation about the evolution of the soul, not humans, but the evolution of the soul at different times and spaces, and knowledge and wisdom is what made me fall in love. And I'm still reading into this about Sufism, which is the ascension of the soul. And when I say ascension, it's not like reaching somewhere. It's reaching a level of understanding your soul, because your soul is your partner.
Yeah, but
But
then
we're yet to.
Habibi, you know what the problem is? What we do? You know what the problem that we do?
They're gonna switch off right now. Yeah.
I'm gonna switch off.
No. The whoever is listening now, it's like soul, f off. Okay.
No, I think we're way beyond that now. I think the people that got to this point now are gonna understand.
Brave. They're brave. We need to send them gifts.
No, but
Please,
I did
go
want
on.
to say no. I wanted to say one thing about the soul. You still be careful. You're making the same mistake that we all make, because you said this is this is very interesting, and this can be very helpful to people. We have to stop making the same mistake, which is, even watch the words we use. Your soul is your best friend. No, Amani, you are your friggin' soul.
I know, but I'm yet to have this.
Well,
I went to
but
this
you
gesture.
can't-
I'm yet to do this grilling.
Why?
This
What are you waiting for?
because
What are you waiting for?
I've reached a good point,
Okay,
but it's
but
all
why?
these.
Why are you
Go back
saying
to the
that?
subconscious mind. All
What
that
story are
programming
you?
we've had.
What story are you telling yourself?
Being attached to this so much and this life
Okay,
so
let
much,
go.
and
Let go.
processing poop conversation still.
This is a
I'm
shitty.
still
This is a shitty conversation.
I'm still processing the information, but I've come a long
But
way.
it's
I've done well for myself.
Yeah, don't we love to tell ourselves a good story? Yeah.
Attachment, huh? Attachment was a huge learning for me. I used to be attached to this desk, to this bag, to this mug, and I would go haywire if it's missing. Attachment
Yeah, that's
and
difficult.
love, and the difference between the two. And I was a being of attachment. I also had to
We all
unlearn
are.
that.
We all are.
Yeah. And still am, but come a long way.
I was. There's a good point that you bring up, and it's apropos. I was listening to Eckhart Tolle the other day, and something, and I love it because the way our higher self is not going to sit down on the couch next to you and say, okay, it's not like a therapist that sits down on the couch and says, okay, now we're going to have an hour of therapy. Tell me, and it doesn't work that way, because you are your higher self. So we're here in human form to experience ourselves. I hate that. To experience life. I like that. To experience life so as to remember that we're not just human. Oh, I like that. I love that.
That's beautiful.
Someone should write that down.
It's recording.
But I was watching Eckhart, and he was talking about I love him, by the way. I told you that because he's fantastic. And he was talking about some spiritual masters. Now, he's not going to name people, and I'm not going to name people either. But he was talking about spiritual masters, and he's like, how they say they have no attachment to anything and no. But that's not true. You can believe it. And I'm telling you this, you can believe it about people, not even Osho, who did wonderful things, but he got lost in temptation. I don't know about too much about Sai Baba. I know that he had access to manipulating matter in a very he produced ashes. I totally believe that he did. But I'm not familiar too much. I had
Me neither. Yeah.
I had an aunt who was a great follower of Sai Baba.
Mm.
But I do know Jesus, absolutely, genuine about the ascension and about known attachments and about overcoming all that, for sure. And probably many others, Buddha. But there's very few and far between. Because, and I go back to because I had the same thought as Eckhart Tolle. And I said, you're a spiritual master, but you live, now I'm just saying, Hawaii, or you live in Sedona. So you live somewhere. So you have a preference. It's not like you don't live anywhere, or you live in a nondescript cave. And even if you did live in a cave.
I have a belief in something, is that we like to listen to our thoughts out loud. Yeah. A lot of it hasn't been applied yet. It's just a reminder to us, including whoever, preaches.
Of course.
So it just, it's just reminding ourselves and others to apply it. So,
well, Bashar, channeled by Darrell Lank, I don't know, I mentioned, he will continually remind you that you are just listening to your higher self. But if you go back to the notion that there is no separation, no real separation, just an illusion of separation, it makes sense. Like even with our little finite minds, we can understand that, yes?
Can we do that in our next episode where we explain in detail? I'll tell you from my, findings, not learnings, findings, because I did mention before that for me to process the information, I had to understand how my brain processes certain things, and then I'm like, okay, I get it. I get where that habit and that repeated pattern is coming. So I dive deep into that.
We have to. We have to start. Well, it starts. Actually, I like. And this is actually, I'm going to say something. I don't know. I think it's profound. Maybe no one else will think so, but it starts and ends with the self. In fact, one of the most profound utterings that I have heard came from not Deepak Chopra, but his father. Imagine, I read The Path to Love. And then I have something to say about Deepak Chopra, because God bless him. I think that Deepak Chopra is a great teacher, but I think that Deepak Chopra doesn't understand love. Imagine that. I promise you.
How did you pick up on that?
Oh, I just know. For me, he doesn't understand, and there will be times he's actually kind of hinted to that. But it's his search to understand love. But he doesn't. He has never experienced it. He is not the embodiment of love. Now,
yeah, I'd like to claim I am, but
his father. Oh, I can actually claim that I'm not, so I'm free. I'm actually not.
I don't know what I've experienced. Is it love? Is that love? I say it. It sounds good. It feels good. I like to feel it every single time.
Well,
Love, even from walking in the forest all the way to loving a being,
I don't know. I don't know if you
but the
can.
search, no, the search,
The only
the
person that knows it is you. But I will say this. I just wanted to finish that his father said the only journey worthy of being undertaken is the journey within.
we
Now
need to
those words
explain
struck
that.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to explain that like a toolbox.
We need to share
How
that.
did
We need to
yeah,
share that.
share, not explain. Yes, thank you for correcting that. Like how did we find like how did I find out that I
How are
have
we
to go back to
finding?
here?
How are we finding? Because you and I,
Still finding,
yo,
still
fuck.
finding. Yes,
It's a
yeah.
never ending. And so are my 130 parallel current lives trying to
Hey,
figure
hey,
that
I
out.
came across something. I can't remember where or what, but it made so much sense. And let's wrap it, on that. And of course, if you have a last thought, so much I come across and I can't save everything, but it was really cool. Like I knew it, but it's nice to listen to it out loud from another source. It said, I think it's Joe Dispenza. I'm not sure. So what he said is, why do you need to work on yourself here, now, in this present moment? Be mindful and try to do be the best version of yourself. All these things that we keep telling us, be positive, be best version of yourself. Like they trigger me now, but okay, I get it. Been working on that. But why is it important to do that? And again, that's like another Masaru Emoto moment for me here when I listened to it last week, is that if you don't work on this one now, your now is actually on so many different parallel universes, exercising the things that you're still repeating, but in different versions of you in different times and spaces. And
Yeah, it's mind-boggling. I know
I was like,
we
oh my
can't fathom
God.
that.
Yeah, like, no, I don't want that other 50 persons of me in parallel universes in the same time exercising those same patterns, those same repeated
Well, I have a
patterns.
better solution.
No wonder I'm tired when I wake up, because when we're sleeping, that's what
No,
we're,
I
we're
have a better
working.
solution. I have my other selves that are working on it, and I'm doing fuck all.
Oh, yeah, hold on.
Yeah,
Hold on.
that's the other
Hold
way.
on.
Yeah.
How would we know? How would I know? Again, the arrogant self, huh?
Faith, faith,
How would
faith.
I know that this me talking now is the one now? Maybe the other one is the now, like you
Well,
said.
the other one is the now in the now in the other
They're all
parallel.
in the now.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
all
it's
in the
very
now.
fascinating. But that goes back to I want to just tie in because it's a reminder for myself. Obviously, everything is just a reminder for myself that oh my God, there's so many things we can talk about because I still want to go back to Hollywood because I see a lot of unhappy people in Hollywood.
Only
Oh
in Hollywood?
no! I don't care. I want to talk about Hollywood because that's my favorite.
Where you were
That's my
present there,
cup of
yeah.
tea, and where I'm still, operating. So,
So how are we gonna
Bashar,
wrap this? And then Hollywood would be like a cliffhanger to the audience for next one.
okay. But going just to wrap, so I'm gonna go back to a recording that I heard like 10 years ago, or it was a channeling 10 years ago of following your highest excitement to the best of your ability. And I just heard it from a totally different source. How do you live a full and fulfilling life? Follow your excitement to the highest of your ability at any given moment from wherever you are. Now, this is from different sources that are not familiar with each other. Yeah? And that goes back to living in the now that Dispenza has been studying over the past few years, and other neuroscientists, and Eckhart Tolle, etc. Living in the now, doing the best you can, if that's cutting the friggin' grass. Where are you now? And where do you want to be? What are you doing now? What's your highest excitement now? Maybe someone's going to watch this damn thing that we're doing. So maybe their highest excitement at that moment is to watch this recording. Like mine is. So your highest excitement from in every moment, it could be that your highest excitement is just, have you ever just sat in your, I have, on my couch and watched a fireplace on the screen? Have you?
I have, yeah.
Really? Oh, you're fucking nuts.
Or a fake one. Well, I don't have access to a real one.
I was just making that up, and you actually did it. You're
No,
nuts.
no, and they do these fake ones now.
Oh my God, you're nuts. There's something wrong with you.
Whatever makes you happy now, right? Isn't that what you said? Yeah. Tripping on it. Hey, my plasma fireplace.
Yes, I've done that for like an hour, and it's fantastic.
You see, the mind, what you tell the mind will believe. The mind doesn't operate on its own. The mind believes what you believe. If I believe this is a fireplace, my mind will believe it's a fireplace.
Okay, but wait a second. Who's you and who's the mind? Why are you saying you and the mind? Who's you and who's the mind?
Because that's how we've been programmed. The mind is leading us.
No. But okay? What mind? And who are you talking?
I always listen. Who are you?
Yeah, who are you?
What is this? Where am I?
Hey,
Fuck this.
Two youths.
So how are we gonna wrap this?
Just wrap it. Doesn't matter.
Wrap it.
In a pretty bow. Yeah. Listen, but I want to talk about Hollywood.
Next episode. So that's a good cliffhanger.
I want to talk about fame.
Do a teaser. Like Mike has gone down. Please give us. Hollywood is too broad. This is
no. I want to
Danny,
talk about fame
Quinn,
and fortune.
Yes, Danny, Quinn, and Hollywood. What about it?
Well, I think the interesting
cliffhanger for the next episode.
No, I want to talk about my family. I want to give some background about growing up in Hollywood, about fame and fortune.
Can I say
about the acting profession in general, about everything that surrounds it, and I want to go talk about the Oscars.
And can I share my part as a spectator to all of that?
When we're talking about it?
Yeah, you'll talk about it who's from within. I'll talk about it how I'm receiving it.
If you must.
Perceptions.
If you must.
If you really want to, but I really don't want you to. This is my time, my story.
I prefer silence.
Danny, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So you want to go? So shall we?
A couple of movies, and I'm not saying couple, several of these movies were game changers for me.
Yeah, but it's
your late father.
But it's really beyond the movies. This is what I want to talk about, and this is coming up because I'm doing like the documentary film now. We're prepping and everything, and we're moving forward with it. But no, this is very important because my cousin, and so let's leave it at this. My cousin, and I want to tie it all in because it all has to do with achieving and success. No, it's very important for people to understand it. It will tie into what Jim Carrey said about I wish everybody became rich and famous so they would understand that it's not what
You've
they think
seen
it
Hugh
is.
Grant recently in the Oscars? You've seen Hugh Grant?
No, I didn't watch this.
Another Jim Carrey moment for Hugh Grant. I'll send it to you.
Please. But I saw Anthony Hopkins. I told you I went up for this. They're doing a series, and I went up for it. And I mean, the only things I saw 3 things of Anthony Hopkins because, but I saw Magic, and I saw, of course, Hannibal Lecter, The Silence of the Lambs, and I saw The Two Popes, in which I thought was fantastic.
I didn't see The Two
Oh, it's
Popes.
fantastic.
Blasphemy. Like, I really should watch this one.
And I think Jonathan Pryce was phenomenal in it.
Yeah, of course.
But I watched it because I had met Wojtyla, Pope Wojtyla.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, the thing about Hollywood is fundamental for people to understand, because it goes back to something that my cousin said about social media, that there's been a study on social media on people that was talking about that you were talking. I was making fun of you before on Instagram, but that people that are hooked into social media have serious mental issues, are suffering from this. Is not a judgment. This is an evaluation of people that then seek help. You understand?
Yeah.
Well, it goes back to oh my God, we can talk about so much, because I live next door to Kurt Cobain of Nirvana.
Wow.
Yeah, I live next door to him. He was in the building next to me. And,
Did you get to talk or meet?
no, but I was there when he passed, when he passed, when he committed suicide. And I lived up the street. Literally, I lived up the street from this place called Spagos, where everybody, I mean, on the same street as Spagos. So Spagos was like, it was a hill top. And I lived at the top of the hill, and Spagos was halfway down the hill off of Sunset Boulevard. And Johnny Depp and River Phoenix, Johnny Depp had a club, the Viper Room, just down the street from me. This is all in the 90s. A lot of stuff happened in the 90s. And that's where River Phoenix passed away. But we gloss over these things. And when we talk about River Phoenix, how about Michael Hutchins from the NXS? How about Heath Ledger? How about a great actor, but so many that, one of the smartest ones, does anybody question why the hell one of the greatest actors of our times, yes, walked away? Well, some have chosen, to overdose and do it that way. But Daniel Day-Lewis walked away from the movie business. Why? Hello? Does anybody question? And we're still doing freaking award shows and stupid and all these dresses, and I want to talk about that. But I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna. I have nothing against anything, but I'm actually for something else. I'm not against that. It's just.
There were memes on Ben Affleck for the.
I'll talk about Ben Affleck.
What was it? What was it? The what awards? The SAG Awards? The music awards? What was it a few weeks back?
I don't know, but I worked with Jennifer.
We'll talk about that.
Well, I want to talk about it because I worked with Jennifer Lopez. I did a series with her where, we were boyfriend and girlfriend. This is again in the 90s. And she's a very nice girl. Very nice girl. She's a very
I'd like
girl.
to hear that because I like her. I'm happy that you said she's nice in real life.
Very sweet girl. Very sweet girl. But look at her. 4 marriages. By the way, very serious. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. She would, well, of course I tried because I was a dog. I mean, I tried with everybody. I even tried with her friend. She had a friend that was so friggin' beautiful.
She's a Leo, so I could relate to her. I'll do whatever the heck I will do if that's what makes me happy in the now.
But she was very good. But when I see her and Ben Affleck together, look at the pic. They're never happy. Have you ever seen them smile? Forget the friggin' when they go on a show. This is what I want people to understand. When you go on a show like the Late Night or Jimmy Fallon, you're putting on a persona. But When
No,
you're
no, there were a lot of paparazzi videos out with of them out and about. Yes, they're very lovey-dovey and very affectionate. But yeah, I totally get what you say. They're not having fun.
well, that's a part of
Yeah.
the problem is the paparazzi. You know, the paparazzi didn't exist in Hollywood until the last
Maybe
20 years.
maybe they're trying to put a poker face for the paparazzi. I
You know,
don't know.
the paparazzis were not around in the 90s. There were no paparazzi. Well, you don't know, you're too young. But there were
You know,
no
I was too young.
there's no
But
paparazzi. There were
but
no-
these tabloids, where were the pictures from? No, there was paparazzi.
No, there wasn't. No, there wasn't. There weren't
So-
really. There weren't really. They came later. In Hollywood. In the last 30 years, but there wasn't people following people around. I remember I used to hang out with Bruce Willis, Robert Downey Jr., all these people. In the 80s in New York, you would hang out. There was never any there's no such thing as paparazzi. At an event, yes. But there weren't paparazzi that would follow celebrities around.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. I wouldn't even imagine what that's like.
It's stupid.
That's just crazy.
It's ridiculous, and it's really pathetic for these people
It should
to
be
not.
like they should be illegal. Really,
Man.
that's stalking. You know, if somebody stalks you, you would actually go and
But it's the paparazzo himself who should value himself more to understand that he's an eternal flame. And why would he? He has
they've
to
got a
follow his own
target.
passion.
They've got a target.
No, I
It's
understand
no
what
longer
they
that.
have, but they
The
they're
whole
not aware.
journalism now, the whole definition of journalism has been completely tarnished and twisted. Also,
And
we'll talk about
fame and
that.
fortune will destroy you if you operate from the ego. Hello.
I'll also talk about that, and I'm sure your wife and we can relate to a lot of that. And
You can
yourself,
relate to
but
it from the outside, and I can relate to it. Well, you've had also a bit of
We've had, of
Yeah, a
course,
bit of
but not that
notoriety.
level of
fame.
not on international level, on
Yeah.
a regional level. Yeah.
Yes, and so have I
So-
personally. But I lived the great, fame and great fortune, which still lives on, by the way. So that's a bit different. I'll tell you. But then we will make the difference between admiration and when someone gets under your skin, but to empower you. Why do the people in Greece love my father? Because his character, Zorba, made them feel, each and every one of them, it made them feel empowered. It made them feel proud. It made them feel loved, I could say.
Identity. Yeah. I'll tell you what my mom told me about Zohar, because she introduced me to Anthony Quinn. I had no idea. I was she pinned me down to sit and watch
My mom
Zorba
too.
and all the.
My mom too introduced me to Anthony Quinn.
So let's wrap this
Alrighty.
up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. So we'll talk. Okay, soon. Whatever.